The East Baton Rouge Parish Library believes that a thriving business community is good for us all. That's why we help entrepreneurs start businesses with tools like Gale Business Builder. Keep commerce rolling by providing access to computers, printers, and free Wi-Fi at 14 branch locations. Get a library card. Grow your business at ebrpl.com/business.
Good morning and welcome to Strictly Business. I'm your host, Penny Font. This webcast features conversations with Louisiana's most influential CEOs, entrepreneurs, and community leaders, with the goal of providing insights, ideas, and inspiration to help you and your business grow. We want to keep Strictly Business as interactive as possible. So for those joining us live, here's an icebreaker question for you. Submit your vote in the comments, and the results will be posted at the end of the webcast. Strictly Business is brought to you by the East Baton Rouge Parish Library. Without their support, this project would not be possible. This month, we're talking with Vanessa Graham of vGram, which provides experienced financial leadership and outsourced, highly customized solutions for the CFO and controller function to assist local business owners in meeting their growth goals and overcoming challenges through business cycles. She has more than 2 decades of experience as a chief financial officer and controller for small to medium-sized businesses in the Baton Rouge area, working with business owners and private equity investors in their portfolio companies. She played an integral role on the management team responsible for the turnaround and tremendous growth APRO achieved ahead of its sale to Equifax in 2005. She is a CPA and member of the LCPA and AICPA. Vanessa, welcome, and thank you so much for being with us. Let's talk a little bit about vGram first. You provide corporate financial management consulting services. Explain to us a little bit about that.
So we provide financial leadership to a variety of businesses of all sizes across the state of Louisiana. We are providing a senior financial leadership on a fractional basis to organizations, and that each client is different, and it's we adjust our approach to each of them, and it's just a great way to provide a little extra needed skill set to those in their moment of need.
That's great. What kinds of companies tend to outsource their CFOs, and what is the advantage to doing so?
Okay, I mean, that has changed quite a bit over time. It's interesting. We've been doing this now 13 or so years. And, obviously your small business needs that financial leadership. They do not have any stretch of that. So we are their outsourced CFO, if you will, that we are that voice in their organization. For your medium-sized business that has a strong financial team, outsourced CFO leadership is similar in that we are complementing that team, but we have a team there to lead, and we are complementing those resources, helping make them stronger, maybe correcting their workflow to help their future, and really enhancing that organization, again, with a touch of more senior leadership and experience. For the large organizations that have a full financial team, inclusive of a very senior CFO, we are providing additional bench to that team. We are working on special projects. That handoff is very easy for the CFO. And so it's just a complementary skill set for a period of time for those projects.
That sounds like a great service. How can organizations evaluate the effectiveness of outsourced versus in-house financial leadership?
That's actually rather easy. It's easy in the sense that since we are an outside party to them and we are, a financial partner, while we certainly seek to integrate in the organization and be part of its team, which we are, at the same time, that business owner has said to us, like, this is what I'm looking to achieve. These are the hurdles I need to jump over. This is where we're headed. They brought us into, or an outsourced partner to achieve certain goals. And so they're going to be looking to make sure those are met. So it's going to be a quick evaluation as to whether or not it's effective or not.
Understand. What are hot topics right now for CFOs and other financial managers, and how are you navigating and helping others navigate those challenges?
So, obviously, the technology conversation is the biggest today. What to do with that? It's moving so fast. You have all ages in the workforce. So, for a financial person, again, you have every generation still in the workforce that has varying levels of experience with technology. So since it's moving so rapidly, we are very challenged with deploying that across an organization effectively. Of course, the uncertainty in prices today, the financial projections look significantly different because of cost of resources, whether that's people or supplies. So that's certainly changing and creating more scrutiny around the budget and forecast for the upcoming year. And what are they going to do about that? And then, access to credit. The credit environment has changed quite a bit, and interest rates are high. So that has definitely changed a company's ability to get the support it needs for the plans it has for the upcoming year. So these are hot topics for CFOs these days.
Lots to navigate, definitely. What role does financial leadership play in guiding companies through growth phases or organizational restructuring? I know this is sort of an area of expertise for you.
Right. The financial office has changed quite a bit. Again, if you look at all of the generations of CFOs in the workplace today, you think about your oldest generation. Historically, their processes were very manual. They were the source of information. Many years ago, you didn't know how the organization was doing until the financial office came out with that information. Today, everyone has access to information, and so we are not the first source of how the organization is doing. So our role needs to be very operationally focused. We need to tie in operations to the financial results. We need to help educate them on how their work impacts the outcome financially, which is then in turn invested back in them as employees. So your youngest generation coming into the workforce is accustomed to that. They are very comfortable with technology. They're very comfortable with how the entire workforce uses it. And those in between, like myself, have had to learn and adjust to the expectation of operations being your audience, and their success is the example of your success. Your success is dependent on their success, right? So.
Yeah. From a financial perspective, what are some strategies for companies looking to scale up rapidly?
I will tell you, every day we are forecasting for companies. Forecast is particularly important to having a forecasted model that includes all of the assumptions, the needs, the gaps, the areas that need to be addressed to reach the goals for the year. Is very important, but particularly for those who want to scale rapidly. You can't grow fast and expect everybody to catch up with you. So you really have to have a plan forward to ensure that your people, your processes, your workflow, and your financial ability to support growth is in place. It's easier said than done, but concerted plan that everybody buys into, that everybody's focused on, is where we definitely want everybody to start.
Understand. We touched on technology a little bit earlier. How is the financial industry being transformed by technological advancements like fintech and digitalization?
Obviously data is coming at everybody at a rapid pace all the time. So the transformation that's occurring is, you have all of this, this is both good and bad. What data do you follow? How do you use that information? How do you deploy that information? And then once deployed, what happens to your organization? The other thing technology is doing is not only the access to information, but it's the processes, right? It's affecting how we do work. And again, with all generations in the workplace, putting in new processes on people and their workflow, you can't just drop it in there. You've got to make sure the organization accepts and can make it through implementation of technology. So the impact is both felt throughout the organization, but what information is brought in is also important.
Gotcha. What are the key challenges and opportunities presented by these technological changes for financial leaders?
I would say the biggest opportunity or challenge that you can make into an opportunity is what is referred to as change management. Change management, anything you put in place or deploy in an organization has to have a change management process. A change management process is just addressing the audience that's going to be impacted, which is your people, how they work, their processes. I mean, we often see technology put in place and then it's not fully utilized, or it doesn't speak to other systems that are in place. So that holistic look and that plan before you invest in technology is very important. And the outcome, if not done well, is going to be people are going to leave, processes aren't going to work, and you're going to be reinvesting again in technology if not deployed in the right way. And that's really change management.
Yeah, absolutely. So AI is what everybody's talking about and kind of trying to figure out right now. How can financial leaders leverage AI and data analytics to enhance decision making?
So data analytics is bringing a lot of transparency to the organization. Data analytics, brings the operational results forward and allows everyone to focus on key indicators of success, right? And that's what kind of the buzzwords are in that. The challenge there is that what is the area to focus on and what is the source of truth? So the challenge in using data analytics is the process by which you decide what you're going to analyze and how you're going to analyze it and what you're going to do with it, and having the whole organization buy into it. That's something we really need to focus on more than just put data analytics into our organization. AI is a little different. AI is advanced form of machine learning. And so what you are automating or what you are replicating, again, needs a thoughtful approach to what processes do we want to repeat and make quicker, automate, replicate. It needs to be a thoughtful decision. So the question was how we leverage these things. It is really about thoughtful process of what are we going to replicate, automate, and how are we going to use that within our organization, and then choose the technology that we're going to deploy to do that.
So there's still quite a bit of work, as there are in other sectors, there's still quite a bit of work going on to really discern the best use of AI and sort of the protocols for that, would you say, in the financial industry?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
We're still at the beginning of what we're feeding into systems. When we talk about AI, we're talking about feeding information into a system to further its learning and to use that automation forward.
Okay. Still staying on technology, what are the cybersecurity implications for financial departments in the digital age? What are some of the key issues that you're dealing with right now?
Biggest challenge with cyber is fraud. Fraud has always been prevalent in the market, but what is changing is the new forms of fraud. It is tough to keep on top of, and it does require good partners, IT partners, because there has to be someone on top of researching the next creative way to attack an organization's data. So it's a big challenge, but it's about being aware of the new ways in which we can be attacked.
Do you feel like companies are really addressing that issue in the way that it needs to be addressed?
That's hard to say. I think it requires a pretty good investment and a good partner, but it is becoming very necessary, or it is very necessary, which has been proven with all the news of the attacks that have occurred. And so we're very challenged to work with our partners to explain the various ways that we use information, access information, and therefore protect that interface to that information, and go ahead and go down that path of protection. We have to. So,
yeah, good points. We've talked about data. One of the challenges that companies face, and you alluded to this, is being overwhelmed with data. What are some of the ways that companies can navigate that and remain nimble but confident with all of the data coming at them, as you talked about?
Right. I will say we have made a significant investment both internally but externally for our clients in project management. Project management, if done well, addresses that. It takes a view of the landscape of all of the ways that information comes in. It looks at the resources that it touches. It says, how are we going to move from A to B? And so it can make the in any situation where there's an overflow of information coming at the user, it can make that project management, when done appropriately, can make that less stressful on the employee or the one who's using that information. That is a huge problem today. We are just inundated with people coming at us and information coming at us. And so how do you kind of decrease the stress of an organization and navigate the use of that onslaught of information coming at you? To take a project management approach to that is something we've benefited from both internally, but also helped clients through.
That's great advice. What are some ways companies can keep a pulse on an ever-changing market like we're experiencing?
There is certainly access to so much help these days, right? Again, with technology, it's easy to tap into other resources, whether they be people, groups, whatever. I personally recommend that business owners and managers of businesses stay true to what they do. They know the problems in their business, and have a plan around, here are my gaps that are limiting my success. So it's easy to get resource help because there's access to help. So, but it's really how you communicate with those external partners and bring them into your situation to make it work for you. So I don't think it's a problem in getting help with the ever-changing market. I think it's about how you bring it into your organization.
Gotcha. What strategies do you recommend for businesses to manage financial risks in today's economic climate?
My experience personally has been now more than ever, we need to understand all sets of the financial performance reporting. And that means knowing your balance sheet very well, knowing your cash flow very well. We often look at the income statement. Business owners, that's what they do. A lot of the dashboards are feeding, off of the income statement. Are we up or down? But what's really important these days in this market is how our working capital looks, which is read from our balance sheet. Are we keeping our profits in the business to support our future growth? Again, that's read off our balance sheet. How our operations are turning into the cash flow that we need, that's read off our cash flow statement. So that read of the statements is something we find a lot of business owners need. And it's not that they're going to naturally know it if they're have come through the ranks of operations. And that's okay. But to be cognizant that you need to appreciate where you stand from a balance sheet perspective and how your cash flow is generated and how that cadence is occurring is important. Particularly today, as the credit environment has changed, the presentation of the financial position of the business is more critical than ever than it used to be, because it's harder to get capital today. It's harder to get credit today.
Absolutely. How can companies build resilience against unforeseen financial challenges?
So the combination of some of the topics we talked about, the forecasting financial performance is definitely where we start. And that forecast, again, includes the business plan, the gaps and areas that need to be filled to get there. That's from a people perspective, systems perspective, maybe equipment if they're that type of entity, but and ultimately comes to what the capital needs are. That plan that balancing of risk needs to include the working capital needs of the organization and what it can produce in working capital. And then if it can't, how leveraged it needs to be. All of that is a careful balance these days, particularly with the increase in interest rates. So it is a balance of how leveraged you want to be, how much cash flow you can keep. Having a look at that, all that's going to come from a forecasted model and a read of all statements coming together with your financial plans.
So what are the best practices for effective financial contingency planning?
Today, since, again, the whole organization has access to data, and we can deploy, we can create transparency across the organization. We can put models in front of the organization that show operational information with financial information. So best practice is to create synergy in the organization where everybody is bought into the plan, bought into the numbers, and they understand that how the employees understand how their work effort creates financial outcome, a reinvestment back in them or back into the business. That best organizations are those that has everybody from the bottom up bought into the same plan as marching towards the same goal. That's very hard, but we have, if done right, we have the capability to do it with all that's available to us today,
The formula for success.
Well,
How can businesses balance risk-taking with financial prudence to drive growth?
it's interesting. Just to give an example, when COVID occurred, there were some clients that came to us that said, you know what, I'm going to be down for a while here, have the ability, financial ability to support that for a period of time. I'd like to be better and stronger on the other side. And so we went through the process of helping them look different on the other side. This was deploying systems, this was changing workflow, this was changing the mix of who did what, because that was going to look different on the other side. That kind of plans for growth and managing risk really looks at what does tomorrow look like, and what do I my company, not what my neighbor's company is doing, not what my competitors doing, but what am I lacking to get there? And how much capital do I have? How much capital can I get? And that whole plan, if you will, needs to be documented, bought into, measured against. If we're diligent about that on a regular basis, and then create that synergy across the organization, it's possible to ride through these tumultuous times that, we've been through over the last few years.
You've seen quite a bit of that.
Yes, it's been interesting to watch or to be part of the different approaches companies have had towards the changes we faced in the market over the last several years.
Yeah. So as we close, what are 3 takeaways you'd offer to our audience for assessing their management practices?
My advice would be, are all your people bought in? Are they marching with you? Do they know? Do they know what our plan for success is, or how success is defined, which is different for everybody and different for them individually. So easier said than done, but can't ignore the topic, right? Because they're all thinking about it. So that buy-in is important. Then it has to be easy for them the goals that the organization sets have to be easy to achieve. So they need the workflows, they need the systems, you can't just dump things on them. They have to know, why do I need to use this technology? How's it going to benefit me? That whole respect, if you will, for your key people and what they do for you and how they do their work. If you're going to automate things, then how are you going to explain that across the organization? What is it going to mean for them? So it's just addressing workflow, people, processes would be my second takeaway. And then last is always, again, a forecasted plan. Have a plan to march to, go back and measure against that plan. It can change. Don't be afraid of the change. Sometimes businesses fail because they don't move quick enough, right? There's move too quick and you didn't stop and make a plan. And then there's, you don't move and you knew you should have moved. So having that plan, always look at it, always measure against it. Can't say enough for that.
That's a fantastic roadmap. We appreciate you sharing that with viewers. Vanessa, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. It's been fascinating hearing your insights, and I know our viewers appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And thanks also to our viewers for joining us, as well as our sponsor, the East Baton Rouge Parish Library. Please join us again for the April 17th episode of Strictly Business. On behalf of our director, Tim Coles, myself, and the entire team, enjoy and make your day a great one.